Hello, my beautiful hatchlings and adventurers. How are you doing this fine day? If you're new here, hi, my name is Noah, and I am.
The Bookworm.
And today I'm here to talk about A Court of Mist and Fury by Sarah J. Maas. Before I dive into this, I owe someone an apology, and that is Ven. As some people may remember, a good few months ago, as a joke, I was saying who reminded me of who, which character, and all that jazz. I involved Elaine, aka Cobalt Dragon, Ginger Bibliophile Cat, and I said Ven was Tamlin. Bad thing to have ever said after I've read the second book. I am so sorry. I know I said it as a joke, but when you dive into it, it was really bad, and I owe you an apology, my friend. You're more like Rysand. You have this scary, like, mass thing at work because you are a manager, but inside you're just a little fluffy teddy bear. And I hope you accept my apology, my friend. I am so sorry. But let's just dive into the review. We're going to be talking about story, plot, characters, rereadability, fun factor, and then my own thoughts on this. So, story. I'm going to try and leave this as spoiler free as much as possible, just kind of give a little bit of a taste of the story, and then we just kind of go off into that. So, the story, obviously, it revolves, struggling with the word so much, around Feyre. As we know from the first book, I didn't really find like the whole drama with the first book, why it was like blown up everywhere. The first half of the book was absolutely terrible, and I actually did enjoy the last half of the book with Amarantha. The story in this one is all about how Feyre is absolutely traumatized, Tamlin is traumatized, but also Tamlin goes the wrong way to kind of deal with things, takes it out on Feyre, and basically makes her a prisoner, and how this just sends Feyre in this whole spiral. And then Rysand swoops in because of their bond. He hears, and he feels everything that Feyre is going through, and he kind of swoops in like this dark little angel that he is, and basically saves her. Along the way, while he does that, obviously because they made a pact, like once every month or something, he stay a week. For a week, Feyre stays with Rysand, something along them lines. And this is where the healing process kind of starts to come through, where he starts to teach her how to read, how to write. Understanding kind of goes in while he pushes her to be better, become better, but also at the same time, feelings kind of bloom and blossom, and he also uses her for his own gains in a really mixed up way. It's kind of fucked, but I was there for it because the way that it was written, this whole book, I was actually really drawn into it because not only do we learn more about the characters through the story of what's being told, we learn more about the world, and it was absolutely fucking beautiful. And certain moments in the story that happen, I had little moments of, oh, that's really cute and really sweet. And I actually did get a little bit of emotion with that, which is weird because books don't really make me feel emotion. It's very, very rare. The only ones that I've read recently that actually give me that any sort of emotion has been Fourth Wing and Iron Flame, and I am so ready to read this very, very soon. My special edition. The story is basically, how Feyre's traumatized, how she kind of tries to deal with things, failing terribly, and then Rysand is the one that starts this huge thing of teaching her and letting her heal in a really nice process while learning everything else that is just thrown onto her. The plot itself is actually so much better than the first book. It definitely has more of a flow. Wow.
English.
There wasn't really the moments where it was at a standstill of where, oh, Feyre doesn't follow the rules and stuff like that. She kind of is a little bit more knowledgeable. Still a bit of an idiot, but she's more knowledgeable as she's learning things from Rysand while no one else kind of tells her. So it has this really nice flow of where something happens and it draws you in, and then something else will happen on top of that. And I really did enjoy that. There's certain moments where it was fast paced, and the fighting in it when it did happen, like in the first book, was really well written and really drew me in, and especially with how imaginative, I don't think that's the right word. I wouldn't say it's graphic, but it definitely put a picture in your mind when things started to happen, and I was actually really there for it. Now, the characters is the main thing that I do want to talk about, because there is a few characters in this compared to the other one. So, obviously, we have Tamlin. Sorry once again, Ven. I'm trying to have a conversation. Obviously, he himself has PTSD, but the more selfish side comes out, his anger issues come out a lot more, and just how toxic he is as a person, because he kind of, not only does he lose his way because of everything that's happened, but he gets unhinged, and it's to a point where it's so fucking toxic. I don't understand how it was hidden so much in the first book, because it's such a character shift. Well, yeah, there was like hints of certain little things about him and himself. We learn a lot more about him, and I was literally like, wow, I really hate Tamlin. And the fact that I have the knowledge that someone read the first book and got a massive tattoo of Tamlin, and then read before they read the second book, bitch, why? Why would you do that to yourself? No. We have Lucian, which is obviously from the first book, is the goodest of boys. But in this book, that's not really the case. His personality just kind of shift a little bit, and we kind of learn a little bit more about why he does the things he does. Obviously, he's the good boy, but he's Tampon's, aka Tamlin's or Timberland Boots' lapdog. Um, while he tries to be understanding with Faye about this whole situation of how toxic he is and trying to be there for his friend, but also be there for the people that Tamlin rules over, you see how much he's kind of fallen with Tamlin just a little bit. So this good boy that he is from the first one, of his quirkiness and his supportiveness and how he actually tried to help, actually kind of ebbs away in this book, especially towards the end when some things come to light. Rysand, I really did enjoy Rysand in the first book, and I really, really loved him in the second book. Not only is he this cocky godsend to Feyre, but he's also like this fallen prince. He does use other people, but he uses them for a really good thing in a way, which is basically to protect his home, his people he would class as his family. And to be honest, if I was in his shoes, I would do the same sort of thing where I would, like, be Amaranth's whore. That sounds really bad, actually, when I say that out loud. What he had to do to protect everything and keep that memory out of other people's minds, I get why he did it. And while it is kind of thrown around repeatedly that he had to do certain things, and you get the gist of it, it's mentioned that some things had to be done, but it kind of goes into it a lot more as you go through. I get it, and I kind of adore him for that. But also, it's the fact that he is then the teacher to Feyre. He teaches her how to heal herself, how to be there for herself, how to read, how to write, how to better herself. Also, teaching her how to fight so she can survive. And also, these little things that start to happen where, she does have the powers of the other courts. She has a bit of, just steals people's powers, and just like a really weird version of Rogue from X-Men. Obviously, we have Feyre, but she's also known as Cursebreaker, because obviously she broke the curse in the second book. She has severe PTSD.
Wow, I'm struggling.
She has nightmares. She gets frequently sick. She starts to lose weight. She becomes a shell of herself even more than what she was in the first book. Shocking, I know. Didn't think that could happen. But while we're also reading about how she's being healed and bettering herself because of the help of Rysand and the other people in his court, which we'll go through in a second, you see these little glimpses of character progression and character personality. And I kind of love that, because she starts to become a bit more fiery, more towards the way that Nesta is kind of shown to be in the first one with her stubbornness. Feyre starts to pull that from Nesta into the second book, and it's beautiful and fantastic. Some bits I still think she's really, really stupid for, but it's still some form of progression, and I was there for it. So I'm gonna butcher this name now. Spell Ianthe. Ianthe. I'm guessing that's how you pronounce it. Now, she is a high priestess. She is Tampon's childhood friend and Lucian's too. The best thing that I can say about her as the High Priestess, there is one of 12 of them that are kind of like all over the world of...
What is it called again? What is the world called again?
You think I'd remember, because I literally just read this. Prithian! It's Prithian!
Fuck me.
But while she has this really nice outlook on things in the beginning, where she's like, I'm a High Priestess, I'm here for you, I will take over if you need it, things quickly come into light how much of a power-hungry little bitch that she is, and I hate her as a character. She basically essays people in the book. She uses her status and how power-hungry with how power hungry she is, she'll do anything she can to get what she wants. And one of the people that she wants is Rysand. And, you know, that's why Lucian doesn't like her. Like, he realizes what kind of person she is. And she's kind of been like, I'm this good person. But also it's like, actually, no. You did things that were really bad. And I hate you. You're a little bitch. And the fact that I now know after reading this book what kind of person you are, disgusting. Now we have Morrigan. Now Morrigan is Rye's cousin. I fucking love Morrigan. I love her personality, how quick she is. While she does have her... Everyone's damaged in this book in certain ways or something that's happened in the past, with the war, with the families, with how the world works. Especially with what kind of elves they are. Fae, whatever you want to say. The elves. Fae, what Fae they are. With the type that she is, females are very much looked down upon, and they pretty much sell them off to the highest bidder. It's fucking disgusting, and I feel sorry for Morrigan because she's had a really shit upbringing, but she's this really strong character. She's extremely welcoming to Feyre. She is there for Feyre. She's that basically Feyre's first proper real friend in the world, considering what happened with the first book, that she had somewhat sort of friends. And obviously Lucian we would have classed as a friend until we read this book. Morrigan is that friend, and I love her for how quirky she is. While she is also, I believe she is the third in command in Rye's court. I love her because she is a very strong female character, which is always going to be a good thing. And it's also not thrown in your face as to what happened in her background. Like, yeah, these bad things happen, but that's not why she is a strong person, which I love about her character. We have Azriel, which is part of Rise in a Circle. He is known as the Spy Master. Kind of reminds me a little bit of Ven. A little bit. I guess Ven's just like a multitude of different characters. Kind of like, I would just want to pick apart and slump together and be like, this is you. He basically has this thing where he is the shadows. He has these shadows that kind of like are always kind of around him. He's very good at what he does, which is why he's Rye's Spy Master, because he just disappears and appears, and it's just like, okay. But he's also extremely strong. Well, we have Cassian, who is part of Rise in a Circle as well. He is their army commander. He's just as strong as Azriel. They both have these little, like, gems that they wear. Normally, the Fae only have one just to help kind of control their power, but they're, like, so fucking powerful they have to have 7. And literally kind of badass. He has this really, like, super kind of funny, jokey kind of personality, but he's extremely dangerous, and you still get the feel of that, especially when things start to happen and there is this huge fight scene. There's a few fight scenes, but when this one thing that happens, it's fantastic and mind-blowing, because you kind of get the little bit of tea, or a little bit of a look through the eye, the hole of a needle, I don't know, of how kind of strong they really, really are. And obviously they have these huge kind of like sort of bat wings, because they're the type of Fae they are, which I can't pronounce no matter how hard I try. Which brings me to when something happens and they mention the wingspan. The bigger the wingspan, the bigger the part of the body is. And I was just like, oh, that's where I've seen, like, now I understand why people have made that joke. The other person that I do want to talk about is Amren. I really love Amren as a character. Now, she is ancient. She's over, like, was it like 5,000 years old or something like that? Like, she's been around for a long, long time. She is second in command, so she is basically even more powerful than Rise, but obviously she kind of is his friend, someone that he talks to and goes to, but also the fact that he has the knowledge that if she wanted to just kind of wipe things out, she could. She could. All the main thing is that while she has this really, like, stone cold character, and she kind of helps Feyre kind of like deal with certain little things in her own little way, because she's pretty much very stone-faced. All she wants to do is go back home, because there are certain things in this world where there's been cracks throughout the ages where one of a kind things kind of slip through, and they're just kind of stranded here, and they get sent to a prison. A lot, like, I'm just giving a little bit to say, like, you're gonna have to read the book to fully grasp and understand. But she's like Feyre. She has been changed into look like a fae, because that is not her true form. But she is locked in this prison, as she calls it. She can kind of get hurt and die, but still kind of somewhat be, I'm immortal. Also, the fact that she drinks blood as well, and they keep referring to her as a hungry drake because she likes to collect treasures. But her whole thing about how she, like, her body is her prison, but she's still insanely powerful, and people are absolutely terrified of her. But she kind of sees and understands the good of Rise. I like that, and they're like the main characters of it. While there's other characters that are like working in the background. I loved these characters. I saw so much personality in each of them. They all had their own quirks, their own way they spoke, their own way they dealt with things. And I loved that about them. I was there for it. And at each time I was kind of looking forward to more kind of interaction with Morgan and Amren. Re-readability, I absolutely would read this again. I really enjoyed it. I breezed through 400 pages in one day because I had nothing else better to do, but I breezed through it because I was so drawn into what was going on, because we also learn a lot about the world, the different courts, what kind of powers from different courts, and a bit of the history as well. And I really liked that. Fun fact, there were certain things that I absolutely loved in this. It was really enjoyable to read, especially the fighting. The fighting was absolutely really enjoyable to read, and you got into kind of like the blood and gore a bit, but it wasn't like in your face. It wasn't like, here's some entrails. My thoughts and rating on this, I actually rated this pretty high. I think on Goodreads I actually put it as 5-star. Shocking, I know, but I would probably say it's more of a 4-star. It's beautifully written, a lot better than the first. I really enjoyed it. I loved the characters. I loved learning about the different characters. I loved learning about the courts, the world, especially Valaris, which is basically Rise courts. Now, most people know his court as the Court of Nights or Nightmares, whatever you want to call it, which does exist, but it has another side, which is Valaris, which is known as the Court of Dreams, which is completely hidden from the rest of the world. No one knows that it exists. And I really did like that. My favourite scene in this is actually the Starfall scene, because it sets such an atmosphere of how all these bad things are happening, and especially within the Court of Dreams, while they're trying to make sure their home stays protected, and you learn about all these characters. It's just, I would say it's like a little romantic scene, but it's so lovely that it talks about how they all have these different celebrations, and within the Court of Dreams, it's this one, because obviously they call it like they're fallen stars, but they're not. They're something else entirely, but it happens every like 50 years. And it's just something funny really happens, and it's like you see this other side of Rise and Feyre where they just kind of let go and they actually have like a proper laugh about something. And I actually really like seeing that side of all these bad things and all this PTSD and all this trauma that's going on. It was like, you know what? Here's something really nice and really sweet that happens. And I was just hooked from that. I really enjoyed this book. I'm excited to read the others. I know I have the third book behind me. I need to get the other two, so I will be reading the rest of them. But obviously I've got other books that I kind of need to read. But I want to know, if you've read this book, what are your thoughts on it? Like, who did you like as a character? What drew you in more? Because I know that it's definitely a lot better than the first book, but I'm excited to see what else it can bring. But with that, I'm actually going to leave it there. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. Stay awesome, my friends, and I'll catch you all next time. Love, love.